especially if it's new technology and you want to use new manufacturing methods.
Once you find what you love to do in your life, you need to go ahead and focus on that and go ahead and put all your love and passion into that project that you love doing. Because nothing is worse than waking up every day doing something that you can't stand, doing something that you hate. It's just such a lull in your life that you just hate waking up every single day and doing the same thing.
Life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. That can't be the only thing.
Over and over and over again. You need to find what you love so that way you can always be happy. People say if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And how many people complain about not going to work? That's right, nobody. So if you feel like you're not even working, you're just doing this for fun, by all means figure out what that is and focus on that. And try to become as good as you possibly can at that skill or that mindset or whatever it could be. You're going to want to learn as much as you can and gain intelligence on it and gain information. And
We're gonna go to the moon. We're gonna have a base on the moon. We're gonna send people to Mars.
Figure out the ins and outs of whatever you love to do so that way you can become the very best in that area. And once you've found what you love and you've committed to it completely, people are going to be inspired and truly love watching you work on something that you cannot live without. It will push them to find what they love, and if everybody finding what they love to do, it will make the world a significantly better place because all those people will be happy and nobody will be angry at work.
Which would land seeds with seeds and dehydrated nutrients.
As I was alluding to, there are a lot of negative things in the world. There's a lot of terrible things that are happening all over the world, all the time. There are lots of problems that need to get solved. There's lots of things that are miserable and kind of get you down. But life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. That can't be the only thing. There need to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to wake up in the morning and be part of humanity. That's why we did this. This guy called Tsiolkovsky, one of the early Russian rocket scientists, the great saying, "Earth is the cradle of humanity, but you cannot stay in the cradle forever. It is time to go forth, become a star-faring civilization, be out there among the stars, expand the scope and scale of human consciousness." I find that incredibly exciting. That makes me glad to be alive. I hope you feel the same way.
I think I look at the future from a standpoint of probabilities. It's like a branching stream of probabilities, and there are actions that we can take that affect those probabilities, or that accelerate one thing or slow down another thing, introduce something new to the probability stream. Sustainable energy will happen no matter what. If there was no Tesla never existed. It would have to happen out of necessity. It's tautological. If you don't have sustainable energy, it means you have unsustainable energy. Eventually, you'll run out. And the laws of economics will drive civilization towards sustainable energy, inevitably. The fundamental value of a company like Tesla is the degree to which it accelerates the advent of sustainable energy faster than it would otherwise occur. So when I think like what is the fundamental good of a company like Tesla, I would say hopefully it does. If it accelerated that by a decade, potentially more than a decade, that would be quite a good thing to occur. That's what I consider to be the fundamental sort of aspirational good of Tesla. Then becoming a multi-planet species and spacefaring civilization. This is not inevitable. It's very important to appreciate this is not inevitable. The sustainable energy future, I think, is largely inevitable. But if you look at the progress in space, in 1969, we were able to send somebody to the moon. I think it's also important to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. So the normal way that we conduct our lives is we reason by analogy. We're doing this because it's like something else that was done. It's like what other people are doing. Because it's kind of mentally easier to reason by analogy rather than from first principles. But by first principles is kind of a physics way of looking at the world. And what that really means is you kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true or as sure as possible is true? And then reason up from there. That takes a lot more mental energy. Somebody could say, in fact people do, that battery packs are really expensive and that's just the way they'll always be because that's the way they've been in the past. You're like, well, no, that's pretty dumb, because if you applied that reasoning to anything new, you wouldn't be able to ever get to that new thing.
There's a friend of mine who's got a great saying about creating a company, which is trying to build a company and have it succeed is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. I mean, what tends to happen is it's sort of quite exciting for the first several months starting a company, and then reality sets in. Things don't go as well as planned. Customers aren't signing up. The technology or the product isn't working as well as you thought, and then that can sometimes be compounded by a recession, and it can be very, very painful for several years. So I think, frankly, starting a company, I would advise people to have a high pain tolerance. And but no, I think it is definitely true that, I mean, maybe there are occasionally companies that get created where there's not an extended period of extreme pain, but I'm not aware of very many of such instances. But I do think that new great entrepreneurs are born every day, and we'll continue to see amazing companies get built. Yeah, but I would definitely advise people who are starting a company to expect a long period of high difficulty. I mean, as long as people stay super focused on creating the absolute best product or service that really delights their end customer, if they stay focused on that, then basically if you get it such that your customers want you to succeed,